Think about it for a second. Right now, at this exact moment, millions of digital carts are being filled up. Warehouses literally the size of small towns are just buzzing with robotic precision, and fleets of vans are navigating neighborhoods all over the planet. I mean, this isn't just a company anymore. It's practically the defining economic infrastructure of our time. Welcome to WID, helping millions understand the money behind America's biggest stories. Because every dollar has a story, and today we're decoding this one in our latest explainer.
Okay, so let's kick this off with a question. What is the single most valuable thing this entire empire has ever produced? Now, if you look at their massive ecosystem, the answers seem pretty obvious, right? You might say it's Prime, which basically rewired our entire global expectation of how fast we should get our stuff. You might say it's Alexa, quietly sitting in millions of living rooms. Or actually, you could even argue it's Amazon Web Services, that invisible cloud computing giant that's literally powering half the internet. But what if I told you that their greatest product isn't any of those things? The absolute most valuable thing they've built isn't something you can hold in your hand or add to a cart.
It's a way of thinking. Seriously, their ultimate competitive advantage is a mindset. It's this radical, almost obsessive framework of long-term thinking and customer centricity that literally anyone can learn and adapt. But before we look at how this works at a trillion-dollar scale, let's bring it down to ground level. Imagine two different business owners. The first one is constantly stressed, aggressively chasing new sales, totally burning out, and just frustrated that their hard work isn't moving the needle. Now compare them to the second owner. This person stops chasing those quick, dopamine-hit wins. Instead, they adopt this specific mindset, focusing entirely on relentlessly removing friction for their clients and quietly building this immense, unshakable loyalty. What we're decoding today is how that exact shift in perspective changed global commerce forever, and the profound lessons it holds for us right now. Part 1. The ultimate mindset. So, the story of this mindset doesn't actually begin in some massive state-of-the-art fulfillment center. It starts back in 1994 with a really fascinating piece of data. A young Wall Street executive named Jeff Bezos stumbled across a stat that internet usage was growing at a staggering rate of 2,300% a year. I mean, that is just insane growth. He knew he had to be part of it, which led to those famous, humble garage beginnings. But here's the brilliant part. He chose to sell books. Not because he had some deep, profound passion for books, but because they were the absolute perfect strategic testing ground. They were easy to catalog, uniformly sized, simple to ship, and universally understood. It was a perfectly calculated first step. The books were never the end goal. They were just a literal Trojan horse for executing a relentless, multi-decade vision of becoming the Earth's most customer-centric business. And the result of that massive vision, well, it's something we've all experienced firsthand. Look, we all know the feeling. You open the app with this strict, disciplined intention to buy just one single item. Maybe some AA batteries or a new phone case, and somehow you end up checking out with 5 things you didn't even know you absolutely needed. That's not an accident. That is the result of years of brilliant engineering designed to remove every single barrier between a sudden desire and a completed purchase. I mean, the invention of the one-click checkout button, which is an absolute psychological masterclass in reducing user friction, has probably busted more monthly budgets than most of us care to admit. But here's the kicker. What's really interesting is what's hidden beneath that speed, scale, and selection we all love, because their biggest competitive advantage actually isn't free shipping. Sure, they've completely spoiled us to the point where waiting 3 days for a package feels like a historical event, but the real secret? It's an invisible, mathematical engine just humming quietly in the background.
Section 2. Decoding the Flywheel.
To understand the real engine of their wealth, we have to look at a concept known as the flywheel effect, a term popularized by business researcher Jim Collins. This is the exact mechanical loop powering their dominance, and it works like this. First, you create an exponentially better customer experience. That amazing experience naturally brings in more customers through sheer convenience and word of mouth. Now, that massive wave of customer traffic becomes a magnet, pulling in third-party sellers who desperately want access to that audience. With way more sellers on the platform, competition skyrockets, which inevitably drives prices down and expands the selection of goods. And what do lower prices and better selection do? Yep, they feed right back into step 1, making the customer experience even better, and the whole thing starts over. In the early days, Wall Street absolutely hated this model because it meant sacrificing short-term profits just to continually lower prices. But they missed the whole point. This loop is basically an unstoppable law of physics in business. The wheel just spins faster and faster, generating its own massive momentum.
Section 3. The Hidden Lessons.
Now, you might be sitting there looking at this sprawling macroeconomic concept and thinking, okay, sure, that works for a trillion-dollar tech giant with limitless resources, but how does this corporate strategy help me? How does this help with my daily struggles, my career trajectory, or my side hustle? Well, if we translate the code, we see that what a giant corporation calls customer obsession, a freelancer, an employee, or a parent simply calls making life ridiculously easy for people. It's the exact same concept, just scaled down to human interaction. For example, if you're a freelance graphic designer, removing friction means sending a clear one-click invoice instead of making your client navigate 3 confusing payment links. If you're an employee trying to get a promotion, it means anticipating your manager's problems and solving them before they even have to ask. You are systematically removing friction for the people who depend on you.
For everyday people, whether you're a student navigating classes, climbing the corporate ladder, or creating content online, the biggest actionable takeaway here is to build immense trust first. Think about the person who aggressively chases a quick buck. They're constantly jumping from trend to trend, and they usually burn out because they have to start from scratch every single month. Now contrast that with someone who adopts this flywheel mindset. They become known for absolute, undeniable reliability. You've got to focus on creating systems of repeat value for your clients or your team. You have to build a sterling, bulletproof reputation long before you start aggressively chasing the money.
And if you're a small business owner, applying this flywheel means deeply analyzing your customer's journey and literally eliminating the roadblocks. It means prioritizing a profoundly simpler buying experience over launching flashy, expensive marketing campaigns. I mean, why spend thousands on targeted ads if your checkout page takes 5 minutes and 3 confusing screens just to buy something? It means putting utility over ego. Gather honest feedback continuously and use it to relentlessly improve what you do. When you adopt true customer-first thinking, you stop having to fight tooth and nail for single sales, and you naturally begin to build reliable, recurring revenue.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. There is a catch here. No machine of this massive scale operates without friction. To truly learn from this model, we can't just view it through rose-colored glasses and only praise the highlights. We have to look objectively at the entire system, and that includes the heavy costs of maintaining this hyper-efficient reality.
To keep this explainer completely impartial, we have to acknowledge the operational realities of this model. The relentless mechanical drive for lower prices results in notoriously thin retail profit margins. This creates an environment of intense competitive pressure for the millions of third-party vendors selling on the platform. Furthermore, the immense physical scale required to execute this unprecedented speed of delivery has led to sustained criticisms regarding labor practices and working conditions in those fulfillment centers. At the exact same time, their massive market dominance has naturally triggered increasing heavy regulatory scrutiny from lawmakers and anti-monopoly watchdogs all over the world.
Section 4. Principles of Wealth.
Now that we've looked at the complete, objective picture of how this machine operates, let's connect these core principles directly to your long-term financial resilience. Remember, they famously operated for years and years without turning a major profit because they were relentlessly reinvesting every single spare dollar back into their foundational infrastructure. By adopting this exact same mindset of continuous skill development and delayed gratification, basically choosing to invest heavily in your own foundation right now for a massive payoff years down the line, you actively expand your future opportunities. And this is exactly what I want you to take away from this explainer today. I didn't just want you to learn how a massive company works, I want you to walk away with principles you can use to build a better career, a stronger business, and a way more resilient financial future.
Section 5. Your action plan.
So we've broken down the code, but what are we actually going to do with all this? How do you make sure you don't just consume this information, but actually use it to build something meaningful? Well, here is your realistic action plan to start spinning your own flywheel right now. Step 1. Identify just one specific problem you can solve for others. Step 2. Find a way to improve one customer or client experience this week. Just find a way to make someone else's life slightly easier and a little more frictionless. Step 3. Commit to learning one high-value skill that makes you undeniable in your field. And above all else, seek honest feedback and commit to thinking in years, not weeks. Build systems, not just effort. Because remember, every dollar has a story. And now you know this one. Thanks for joining us on this explainer. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Armed with the mindset of ultimate convenience and delayed gratification, what long-term flywheel are you going to start building tomorrow?
WID, Wealth in Depth. Every dollar has a story.